TurboSquid.
This is the front entrance to TurboSquid. Check out the interesting banner on the wall. And there's Cody. And there's Lisa.
We do now get a full QA test plan, so that we just rolled out our brand new search interface for TurboSquid for the website. They hammered on that. And we've got some things that are due this week, so they are like eyeballs deep in trying to make sure that things get done.
And do they do testing of like the plugins when there's new plugins and people go to get certified, or that's strictly with Autodesk, and once it's certified through them, then it gets sold through you guys?
Well, we actually do the certification here. The QA department generally doesn't do that. I do that with a beta team. So it's a different group. The QA department is really more for the website and for all the technologies that run TurboSquid. That's actually Tentacles. No, that's actually an embedded plugin that goes into Max, Maya, Cinema 4D, and XSI that puts the entire TurboSquid library at your fingertips right from within the application.
Oh.
So you can purchase and download content right coast to coast. South in North Carolina, which is where I was, out to San Francisco, Chicago to Houston. I mean, it was literally, the company was just scattered for that for a month.
When the whole flooding actually happened, it didn't actually affect the building. It didn't get this area of the downtown.
Well, I mean,
but you couldn't commute in because everything was affected all around.
Yeah, and it was, you know, there was no power. It was unsafe. It was
right.
There were, you know, the city was flooding in certain areas. There was water down here, but it didn't get.
This is the high point of New Orleans.
Yeah, well, if you look at the river, the way it curves, right along the river is, you know, it's going to slope down into the city. So you've got this bowl that slopes inward. Well, the French Quarter and downtown are along the curve of the river. So we had water, but it was flowing down into the bowl at that point.
I see.
So we, you know, there were windows broken here, and so some offices, because we weren't in this office at the time, we were a couple of blocks down in a bigger building. We were 15 stories up, and the upper floors had their windows blown out, so they got ruined. We didn't get ruined at all. We came back and got our machines out 2 weeks after the storm. A few of us drove in, and that was something you'll never forget. You know, it's one of those types of things that it sticks with you.
So what's going on with TurboSquid and the conference and Autodesk? I had heard, I mean, I know that Autodesk is not doing the usual user group event.
Right.
So those of us that have gone to it for years and years, it's kind of a shocker that it's not there.
There's no Autodesk event or party, right, exactly.
However, I heard that they're actually backing the chapters party.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard as well. I haven't really seen where the chapters party is going to be. I know that you were asking some locations and things like that. We're doing a little thing for the people who came down early to do the Habitat build, to kind of thank them for helping us rebuild the city. But Autodesk is plowing all of their efforts into online, streaming everything through the area. So all their main stage demos from the show floor are going to go through the area live to the world. So that's going to be big. For us, we've got a new search user interface that we're rolling out at the show. We've got a new user loyalty program for our vendors that we're going to be announcing tomorrow as well.
Now, vendors, you're saying people
who
make
post models.
The models as well as the plugins.
Not the plugins. It's strictly really for the content. Right. The plugins have their own deal. I mean, they're the ones that we manage for Autodesk, the certified plugins. Right. We manage through a contract with Autodesk and through those vendors separately, so they don't fall under kind of the general terms of use of the rest of TurboSquid, which is the models and texture maps and motion capture files and things like that. So it's a little bit different world there. There's a little bit of a separation. If we had to independently negotiate contracts with people, then they fall outside that scope. But for most of the users who've posted there, you know, everything from a T-Rex to model cars to computers to tables and lamps and all the entourage content, then we're going to be announcing some things that should make life a lot better for them across the board. Higher royalty rates, more business intelligence on how and what to sell.
How many like users? How many people are right now uploading their stuff?
Oh yeah, it's a huge community, and with the economy being what it is, we're seeing that a lot of people are starting to get the idea of buy versus build.
Right.
You know, we've done a lot of research on what kind of cost savings are out there, and what we've found from talking to architects and special effects houses and the game companies is that for a $100 purchase of a model, they're saving 27 hours worth of modeling time. That's almost 3 days worth of modeling that they're saving. So if you're able to spend just a little bit of money, you've saved yourself 3 days of a modeler's time and let them do something else as far as, you know, hero work instead of background props that they need. For an architect who just wants to design the spaces, they want to make sure the flow of the building is right. They don't want to build models of tables and chairs and street lamps and trash cans. And I mean, they'd rather be able to just
So
come
the
to us.
people that buy it are from all over the place. It could be movie industry, it could be architectural, previs, all these kinds of things.
News agencies, you name it, absolutely. We see it across the board. So game companies have used our models and content. Certainly, film companies have used it. The Orphanage was a big client of ours before they went under. Pixar's used it. ABC News, CNN.
No idea Pixar used it. That's interesting.
Now in those cases, a lot of times what's probably being done is they're using it for previs. They don't want to. They just want to quickly, you know, mash up something so that they can get a feel for how something's going to work, and then they do all their own modeling on top of that. So I wouldn't want to claim that we've got content in Pixar movies. They're not going to tell us that if they did. So
And with the kind of models that are up there, I mean, I know I've sort of had an eye on TurboSquid from the very beginning. I remember very early on, sometimes people would like put up like ludicrous things. I mean, they practically do like a cube and go, you know, pay it for 10, and it wouldn't be quite a cube, but I've seen some things that are so simplistic to think like, how could somebody put that up there? I mean, you know, I could make it in, you know, 30 minutes or 10 minutes, and it seems sort of crazy.
Yeah, teacups and things that are simple lathes and things like that generally don't sell very well on the site. But you have other models like, you know, Masha, who is one of our all-time bestsellers. That,
and is this,
you know, it's a very complex model that has, you know, morph targets for facial expressions and has clothing.
But was this fully made, or is this? It almost looked like it was kind of a poser model.
No, not at all.
This
is completely hand built. It's rigged with Character Studio, so it's. I mean, we've seen it on TV commercials, web ads, banners, you name it, everywhere. This model has seen a ton. So Andre is a great vendor. We're happy to have him as well. So you'll see more complex models, and users know the difference between the box that's been posted for $30 that we're trying to, you know, we're starting to do certification, and that kind of content isn't going to pass the certification.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah,
that type of stuff is going to go away very quickly. I mean, if you're looking at, you know, the human anatomy as far as arteries and whatnot, you're going to start to see much more complex, much more professional models. I mean, that's who we cater to, is professionals, and they need the content that's going to work right out the gate. You know, we announced a partnership with Autodesk for their Revit content for Revit City, or I'm sorry, Revit Market, which we run for them. It's based on the TurboSquid engine. It's all architectural content. So they needed it for their Revit community as well. So the whole.
And when you say based on the TurboSquid engine, what do you mean by the TurboSquid engine? That's.
I'll show you. So we have Revit Market. It's part of TurboSquid. It doesn't have the same brand header, things like that, but you can. And the look is a little bit different. It's based on a slightly different engine. So if we said plant, you're going to see Revit families that have plants, and we are the largest Revit marketplace already within 6 months of going on. You know, having Tentacles inside of Max and Maya and Cinema 4D and XSI has opened us up to a number of users. Before Microsoft decided to kill Caligari, we had Tentacles for TrueSpace.